We're ready.
It's 6:30. We call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum with Ms. Roberts being the only board member absent. At this point in time, we're going to discuss the January 17th regular board meeting agenda items. Dr. Randall.
Mr. President, the first item is we ask that the Board of Trustees approve the attached election order and notice for a Board of Trustee election to be held on May 4th, 2019 for the purpose of electing single-member district positions 4, 5, and 7 to the Board of Trustees of Lamar CISD. The next item is that we ask that the Board of Trustees schedule a special meeting of the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, May 14th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. to canvass the school trustees election of May 4th, 2019. The next item, we ask that the Board of Trustees authorize the administration to contract with Fort Bend County in a joint election with the City of Rosenberg for election services for the May 4th, 2019 Board of Trustees election. The next item is that we ask that the Board of Trustees ratify the quarterly investment report as submitted for the quarter ending November 30th, 2018. I thought for a second there it was 2018.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I do have a question. On page 41,
We're not
there yet.
oh,
Next item.
we're not on that one. Oh, sorry.
Got one more.
Now, we ask that the Board of Trustees consider approval of budget amendment request.
I believe we
Okay.
have that.
I think it's really simple. Have we ever, or is it possible for Ron Clark's organization for them to have some type of a training here?
That's probably more of a.
Is that anything
question.
feasible?
Mr. Clark, we've asked Mr. Clark that question before, but actually the site or the training involves training through the school and seeing it all in action.
Right.
So for them to try and do that same training here in the district would be virtually impossible.
Okay. We said some last year or the year
Send
before.
some every
Every
year.
year.
Every year for years.
I know they're all going to say it's very positive, but do they have any comments about wishing we could have some type of training like that for all the teachers in that age group?
In order to do the training, you have to go to the campus there and work with the teachers there. You interact in the classroom with their students. So it's not possible really to have the Ron Clark training without traveling to their campus. We have had speakers here before, but that is not considered an official training.
Okay. The teachers that have this experience, are they now kind of mentoring other teachers as to what they've learned or
Yes, ma'am.
processing?
Yes, ma'am, that's a good question. Polly Ryan is a good example of that, and you all have probably seen and heard about some of the things to the degree that at this point, other districts, other even out-of-state visitors are coming to see Polly Ryan and observe how they've implemented it. That being said, it's not authentic to what you would see if you went to the Ron Clark Academy. It's a hybrid of it, so it goes back to if you want the Ron Clark training, it's imperative that you actually go to the campus to see it.
But it's still good to have those teachers able to show other teachers, we've learned this or we've learned that
Absolutely.
from that department.
We encourage that at all of our campuses in terms of practice. For example, when we do in-district training, we often select the best practices, not just from Ryan and Ron Clark, but from all over the district. For example, sheltered learning, literacy initiatives, math initiatives. The Greg Tang training is modeled throughout the district at those staff development trainings. So, yes, ma'am.
So Polly Ryan would be the one to go to see how it's working in our district as far as close as we can to what he's...
Yes, ma'am.
his
It's a
philosophy.
hybrid. You
Okay.
could go there, but there are also other elementary campuses that have implemented it. Arredondo is one. We have several campuses. Hubenack implemented it at the upper grade levels. So it's not just Polly Ryan, and I hope I don't mislead the board in that answer.
Well, I had just heard that one, that's why I asked the
Okay.
question.
I
Okay,
think Lamar Junior High might be
Yes,
another
ma'am.
one. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what happens is that teachers go and they see this and they get excited and then they want to attend. So that's probably,
It's
the
it's a
snowball
word of
effect.
mouth.
okay, yeah.
I know it's a very good program, it's just you have to go there. Okay, thank you.
You'll Polly Ryan take you too.
And BOA.
The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to ratify the financial and investment reports. The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to consider approval of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the 2017-18 fiscal year as presented, and it will be presented to the Board on Thursday. The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to approve the proposed board calendar for 2019. The next item, we ask the board to approve the attached resolutions proclaiming February 2019 as Black History Month in Lamar CISD. And the next, we ask the board to approve the attached resolution proclaiming February 2019 as Career and Technology Education Month in Lamar CISD. And we ask that the Board of Trustees approve the attached resolution proclaiming the week of February 4th through 8th, 2019, that School Counselor Week in Lamar Consolidated Independent School District. The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to approve the membership of the Strategic Planning Committee for 2018-19 as presented, and charge the Strategic Planning Committee with setting the strategic direction for Lamar CISD over the next 5 years. And you have an updated committee list at your table. The next item, we ask the board to approve Firethorn for the expansion of the communication system for the band hall addition at Lamar Consolidated at Terry High Schools in the amount of $9,300, and authorize the board president to sign the agreement.
I have a question. What's the need for the communication system? Like, what's it going to be used for?
It's simply to add communication in those rooms that wasn't installed originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like just to talk to the building or for emergencies?
Yes, right.
Okay. That's curious.
Yeah, we need
It's
that.
like the call buttons, like all the classrooms have, and you push a call button, and you can talk back to the office. You can also hear the announcements and things like
Just like all the other classrooms?
Right.
I got you. Okay.
Were they originally in there and then with the remodeling, or they never
that.
had it?
It's not in the original content.
Okay. Good to know.
Next item, we ask the board to approve Firethorn expansion communication system for the band halls at Lamar, Terry, and in the amount of $9,300. I thought we needed to just hear it twice.
You go for it.
Round two.
In case we weren't listening.
We ask that the Board of Trustees approve the design development for for Tamaron Elementary School as presented by VLK.
You're on.
Thank you again for letting us present. I'm going to pass over to Taylor, who's much more intimate with it. But again, on behalf of VLK, I wanted to thank you for letting us present the third iteration of this design. We worked closely with the district staff as well as VRG to work through all the things that came out of the construction of Carter, in the middle of construction in Culver, and now into work all those things into Tamaron.
Thanks, Don. Good evening. My name is Taylor Alford with VLK. Again, we'll give you guys kind of a brief rundown of the design development for Tamaron Elementary School. This will be the third prototype of its type built, Carter Elementary being the first that recently opened, Culver Elementary School right now, which is under construction, and then Tamaron Elementary School, which will open next fall. Again, this design for you guys that might be new or weren't here before, this all derived from a charrette concept, design charrette concept we held back in 2016 with community members, teachers, administrators from the district. They came to the table with all their likes, all their dreams of a school and what it should be. We worked with them, designed some options for them, got some feedback, continued to progress that. And again, now we're at our third iteration, and kind of what Todd was touching on is, you know, as each one of these gets built, it's important that we learn from our lessons from the one before and work to incorporate that as we move forward. Kind of just a brief schedule of kind of where we're at. Presenting DD now, construction would begin in March, and with a new school opening August of 2020. Some initial sketches that were done back in 2016 of what, you know, the school could be, very diagrammatical. Things that we're trying to, again, keep in focus and not lose sight of as we continue to progress with these prototypes. Just an overall area of kind of where we're talking about the school being. It's very north of the district. You see on the north part border there, that's I-10 with the 1. The south part being the West Park Tollway, and the east border over there being 99. So you can see this location. It's in Tamaron neighborhood. Again, up near Fulshire, kind of the west part of the district where it's not as developed as some of the other parts. Zooming in on that, you kind of see Tamaron Parkway with the 1 running perpendicular to what we have is labeled Katy Road, essentially 1463. And again, this Tamaron, a brand new neighborhood, so we're essentially carving this school out of the countryside. Zooming in on it, again, that's a big dirt lot now, but they have started to develop 2 of the roads. You can see Coles Canyon to the east, and you can see Riley's Ridge to the south, so those are actually just now being paved. We have the school situated, oriented north to south. You have the parent drop and some parking to the south side of the lot. On the north side, you see the bus drop and faculty parking up there. To the east of the school, you see the vehicle stacking, essentially getting all those parents off of Coles Canyon Road and onto the site for safety reasons. They loop around, they come back, and they drop and pick up at the front of the school. You see to the south side of the site, which is here. We have ample play areas on both sides of the building for the students, and some area for some temporary buildings. Hopefully those, we don't ever see that many out in the school, but it tends to happen. And then we also have a special programs drop off that's separate from both the parent and the bus drop. Moving into the plan, again, being a prototype, we're trying to stay true to that prototype form. Very symmetrical school, each wing essentially representing a grade level, all the way from pre-K up to 5th grade. So from the entry, again, where the students would be dropped, this is your admin suite here, and then your entry comes in through these corridors. Again, very symmetrical, and as you go up through the school, you see the yellow area is your media center or your library that everything kind of functions around. Your purple areas, your special programs. And then to the top side in the red, you see the cafeteria, the gym, the stage, the kitchen. And up to the very top left up here, you see some fine arts areas, music, science, and art rooms. Kind of zooming in on one of those pods. Again, you know, each pod, 1st through 5th, has 6 classrooms that are all kind of located around a collaboration space, which is this teal area. Some of the early concepts for this were, again, collaboration, dynamic learning, transparency. They were all things that we wanted to build into the core. These dots essentially represent different styles of learning, or different size groups that we could accommodate. Each pod has its own restroom. You see down here to the left, that's an open wall, low wall restroom, so there's plenty of visibility for teachers and faculty to kind of see in there and make sure your students are behaving. You also have a faculty restroom right across from that with some storage. Again, this teal area here represents our collaboration space or our breakout space. It has direct access out of the building to a secure covered patio that we'll touch on the next slide. And then from the end, you have direct access for fire to get the kids out of the building or to access either one of those playgrounds that we touched on in that site plan. Coming out of those co-lab spaces of each pod, again, they empty onto what we're calling an outdoor teaching area. That teaching area is covered. You see these dashed lines here representing a canopy that comes up over this. To the left side, there's a large teaching wall here with a rideable wall surface. So we're really encouraging that, getting the kids out of the classroom and kind of getting them into different spaces for different types of learning. There's area outside of that for student planning, different activities. You can build planners. You can do science experiments, all kinds of things that can happen in these courtyards. Then again, a very important piece of it is that they are secure. So we have gates that are locked and fenced in to start to separate those areas from the playground and from the rest of the site. Stepping out to the exterior of the building. Again, this is a master plan community, Tamaron. So we went out there and we really wanted to study the different types of model homes and different types of homes that they're working on. We took about 3 different material concepts, apply those to the building in different fashions, and we kind of met with groups from the district, and we settled on this option here, this look. Again, wanted to keep the form of the context of the neighborhood, but at the same time keep it as timeless as we could. We're kind of stealing some of the cream stone that you see in some of those houses, some of the dark brick to contrast that, and then some siding kind of up high to really lighten it up, and again, kind of create that dialogue between the aesthetic of the homes and the aesthetic of the school, so it really fits into place. To kind of jump in on that entry, again, this is this long parent drop here that we've extended out to really protect those kids in the rain and the sun. You see the building letters up on top of that canopy to kind of form that as you drive up. Your main entry being here, and then this is that admin suite that we talked about with conference rooms and the principal's office being on this front side. We've also created some large windows and some transparency here for the reception area to have a really good sight line out to the parent drop, to really keep that, again, as transparent as possible for teachers working out there and for the parents as well. Construction budget of $21 million. Right now, as we approach putting CDs out to public, we're at the budget, looking good. And again, looking forward to getting this thing open in 2020. You guys have any questions, comments? That's good.
No, we asked some questions. No, go ahead.
Wait,
We
no.
asked some questions. No, I'm fine.
You may ask what I want to hear.
No,
Go ahead.
no, I said we asked questions during our meeting.
Oh, that's right. I apologize. I wasn't able to make that meeting.
It's okay.
How many square footage? What's the square footage for this?
It's right around 96,000, I want to say. Don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's right around there.
Okay. Just in my spare time this afternoon, I started looking at things, and in 1997, we had built a school that had 92,000 square feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And then it was 95, 91, and now we're going to 96.
Right.
I'm curious, how much of that is extra space for the classrooms?
Well, without knowing what the other schools were and what their capacities were, I can't answer that 100% to that.
Okay.
But, I know this school is built around a functional capacity of, I think, about 750. Not that you couldn't put more kids into that, but I think that's what the district built the school around, was 750. So, again, I'm not sure what those other schools, the campus numbers, were proposed at. But
I
again,
think 750 was our goal for every
Was it?
elementary school.
So, yeah, again, the 96, I think we have added a few things to those old prototypes. You saw those collaboration spaces that we've put in. We've added areas such as the Kiva and large group instruction that were kind of new to the program back in 2016. So there are some different learning areas that probably have bumped that square footage up a little bit, if that helps to answer your question.
And it's just open in 2017, at Lindsay, it was close to 92,000 square foot.
Okay.
That's what was catching my
Right.
attention when I started
Right.
looking at numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the kids, how much of that was the actual space
Yes,
for
ma'am.
the extra, for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
kids, and yet we still have the same number capacity.
Right, right.
We haven't increased.
Again,
But we changed the prototype, so would that make a difference?
Again, you know.
It'll make some difference.
Going back to the prototype, when we think about all the spaces and kind of how we add them up again, you know, when we do add these other learning areas, such as that large group and the Kiva and the collaboration, you know, each of those do start to add up square footage. I mean, those rooms right there that we've named are probably 2,500 square feet, give or take. So, you know, even if it's built off the same number, there probably are a lot more learning spaces in this new prototype compared to the old ones, certainly.
And then I had one more question as far as, we know there's been some modifications.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that's real noticeable that we should be aware of that was changed for the good for the kids?
So one of the biggest that we've changed from Carter moving forward was, you know, if I go back to these restroom pods, one of the big issues at Carter was that these walls were full height, and there's no transparency into it. And so one of the biggest changes we did made is that we've opened all that up now and closed it off back here. So now you can see into these restrooms for safety concerns for the kids. That was one of the big changes we made. But as far as the plan and adding spaces to it, we really haven't added had to add any extra spaces. I know there's some programmatical things internally that the schools do that are different, campus to campus. And this one might have a couple tweaks to it, but for the most part, the plan, it's the same.
So the teachers didn't have very much
Well, and that's a tough one.
change
That's a tough one because, you know, we do want to learn from it, but Carter's only been open really for a semester. And there are learning things through that process, but there hasn't been a ton of feedback to where you could say, you know, drastically change this or that. For the most part, it seems to be working out pretty well for them, but I'm sure we will hear more after the first full school year is complete,
Well,
and we
from
can touch
experience.
base with them. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Anything?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next item, we ask that the Board of Trustees approve American Construction Investigation for Texas Accessibility Standards Review and Inspection for Tamaron Elementary School in the amount of $2,348. The next item, we ask the board to approve American Construction Investigations for Building Code Compliance Review for Tamaron Elementary School in the amount of $9,525. The next item, we ask the board to approve change order number 2 to micro-integrations for the access controls at George Ranch High School Field House, Lamar Consolidated High School Field House, and Special Needs Center in the amount of $9,747. The next item, we ask the board to approve micro-integrations for the design, review, and integration of video surveillance cameras at high school number 6 in the total amount of $2,500, and authorize the board president to sign the agreement. The next item, we ask the board of trustees to approve micro-integrations for the design, review, and integration of video surveillance cameras at junior high school number 6 in the amount of $2,500. The next item, we ask the board to approve micro-integrations for the design, review, and integration of video surveillance cameras at Tamaron Elementary School in the amount of $2,500. The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to approve the deductive change order number 2 in the amount of $103,938.60 and final payment of $80,019.20 to ICO Construction, with payment being issued to Developer Surety and Indemnity Company for the band hall additions at Lamar Consolidated High School and Terry High School. The next item, we ask the Board of Trustees to consider the purchase of network data storage and server hardware installation and configuration services for $700,000 from Unique Digital.
Any other statements on the act?
There are none, Mr. President.
Information item?
The first one is School Health Advisory Council mid-year update. Any questions from the board? The trustee election calendar. Tax collection report. Payments for construction projects. $2014 bond. $2017 bond referendum construction update. Projects funded by 2011 available funds. Proposed budget calendar. We're getting ready to go after it again.
Never ends.
Vicious.
And TASB advocacy agenda.
If I look through the little book here, kind of big, isn't it?
Those are all of the agenda information items, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. We have no items to take a closed session this evening. So unless the board has something else, this meeting stands adjourned and we reconvene at 7:30 for our self-assessment. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.